For centuries, a towering volcano in Ecuador was believed to be the highest peak on Earth. Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, explorers and mountaineers made relentless attempts to conquer its icy summit, drawn by both its grandeur and the mystery surrounding it. Even as the 19th century unfolded and the Himalayas were officially surveyed, stripping Chimborazo of its claim as the tallest mountain, its steep slopes remained an irresistible challenge. Many parties tried, and many failed. Edward Whymper, the acclaimed alpinist who led the first ascent of the Matterhorn, also became the first to stand atop Chimborazo, making for yet another legendary achievement. And perhaps the most epic of all, this summit, due to its position along the equator, it's the closest point on Earth to the sun. So here I was, in November of 2024, staring down yet another infamous mountain. This time, a 20,000-foot volcano. Alright, so today, the plan is to go do a day hike, quote unquote, to 15,000 feet. Yeah, this is gonna continue acclimating me for the Chimborazo summit that I, fingers crossed, hope is still happening, so. Whew, yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Let's do this thing. My training hike for my upcoming attempt at Chimborazo, a casual little 15,000-foot warm-up climb just outside of Quito, Ecuador, known as Rucu Pichincha. The excursion starts with a cable car ride that whisks you up to nearly 13,000 feet. I had a 6.5-mile trek ahead, along with some potential rain and thunderstorms in the forecast, adding for just a sprinkle of extra excitement. Along the very well-maintained trail, the landscape gradually became more open and absolutely stunning. It was hard to believe that only around 25 years ago, this thing was erupting and covering the city with several inches of ash. It makes you realize just how alive our planet really is. Whew! Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. No Diamox this time. Let's go. Well, that ain't looking too promising. Yeah, I'm kind of halfway expecting there to be some thunder and lightning at some point during this little trek, so. On every past expedition above 15,000 feet, such as Denali, Kilimanjaro, and Aconcagua, I had supplemented with Diamox to some extent, a diuretic that many mountaineers use to help cope with high altitude, and its very nature also makes you pee a lot. Chimborazo would be my first major climb without it. So this one too would be a good measure at how my body reacted with zero supplementation. The best part of this little hike was easily befriending this photogenic caracara, who was more than happy to trade some glamour shots for some bits of food. And dog, look at that. Whew. What a beautiful, just a beautiful country. I could see myself living here. It's great. I'm having a blast out here. Every now and then, I hear people talking a little smack about how I like to wear a chain when I'm in the mountains. Listen, Doc, I might be a mountain boy, to some extent, not professional, but deep down, I'm still a Florida boy at heart. And so bringing a little bit of that Miami vibe out to the mountains, get used to the chain, get used to the tropical shirts. Dog, that's me. That's what I'm bringing to the sport. There came a point about an hour in where the trail became a bit more up to interpretation, and you more or less just keep going upwards. By this point, the dark clouds had mostly dissipated, which was great because this otherwise would have been the muddiest part of the hike. All right, we're getting up there. Look at that. This part kind of sucks. It's just a bunch of freaking scree. For the final stretch, there was no more trail, and it was time to get my hands dirty with a bit of rock scrambling. The clouds also made their grand return right as the summit was in sight, and right where I imagine the views would probably be their best.
Woo! Well, I guess that is Pichincha. 15,000 feet. Yeah, baby. All right. Well, yeah, I think we just made it to the top of a Pichincha peak. It's beautiful. Yeah, views are fantastic. No, either way, it's cool. I feel really good for being at like 15K. Fun little end there, like the little scramble finish. And tomorrow is supposed to be the day we head out to Chimborazo. Feels good, yeah, fun little warm-up peak. And I guess technically this is my first of the Ecuadorian volcanoes. So, yeah.
As much as I wanted to linger on the summit, hoping for a break in the clouds, the distant rumble of thunder spooked me just enough to start hustling my way back down. Because as much as I love being high in the mountains, I prefer it without a sight of lightning. And sadly, that meant saying goodbye to the stunning volcanic countryside. After a few nights in Quito, it was finally time for the main objective of the trip. A quick night's recovery from the Pichincha training hike, and I got an early breakfast alongside what may have been the absolute saddest but cutest looking stray dog ever. I then repacked all my gear and caught an Uber to the town of Machachi. The drive was about 40 minutes away and the Uber was only a few bucks. Then I met with my guide Ivan at the Lonely Summit's headquarters and we drove a couple more hours to the base of the volcano. I was a little unsure on whether a guide in Ecuador was required or not. A Google search would say that a guide is required for any volcano above 5,000 meters. Others will say that those laws have been relaxed in recent years. Either way, one thing I absolutely do not do in foreign countries is play a fun little game of let's test their legal system. So I went ahead and hired a guide for this one. A decision that I did not regret, as this mountain would prove to be much more challenging than anticipated.
Estimado caballero, ¿cómo pasaron para montaña? Sí, para montaña, ya me estaciono allá.
Well, we're about here. Look out that way, you can kind of make out where base camp is sitting at. It's like those little dots right there is where we'll be heading today. For an okay night's rest, and then boom, we go up into where the clouds are at.
And I don't know what it is, but I've just got such a thing for big, sexy volcanoes. I cannot believe that this thing is sitting around the same altitude as Denali, whereas that thing took over 3 weeks to complete, whereas this one will be up and down by tomorrow afternoon, so insane. But yeah, we're sitting at around 15,000 feet so far. Looks like exactly as a sign over there, 4,386 meters. Sitting in this car, we're above the Matterhorn, I think even above Mont Blanc. So all the Alps and everything in the lower 48 United States we're already above, and we haven't even started the trek yet.
Once all the paperwork was done, we did a quick gear check and we were off up the 2-hour stretch to our camp. Many climbers will take a week or so to summit other local peaks like Cotopaxi and others to acclimate before attempting this mountain. So I was taking a gamble by going for it after only a few nights in Quito and one little training hike. This is, after all, a 20,000 foot peak that you summit in only one day. This first leg of the climb is quite deceiving for how easy it is. a gentle slope with picturesque views of the surrounding Ecuadorian landscapes. The colors around us reminded me of the volcanoes back home in my home in Central Oregon. The red scree and loose rock that was way too easy to roll an ankle over just felt like right at home. But the volcanoes and elevations in the US pale in comparison to here, as we were making our way to over 17,000 feet above sea level for our high camp, which, for the record, is about the same altitude as Everest Base Camp. After a pretty tame 2-hour trek, we made it to our home for the night.
Alright, a little update. We have made it to the base camp of Chimborazo, and back there is, well, now it's kind of covered, but a few seconds ago you could see the first summit, the fall summit, if you will. Yeah, I'm surprised to have service over here. It's pretty sick. Gonna have some tea, eat some food, and it seems like at 11 a.m. we're gonna wake up and go push for the top of this thing. Ugh, I feel the altitude, but it's way more tame than I figured it would be. So take that as a good sign, and let's go. I'm ready to do this thing.
The luxuries of modern mountaineering in places like Europe and parts of South America often include some fresh meals prepped at altitude by local guides and workers. And while the essence of the sport is suffering to a degree, some little comforts here and there do hit nicely, especially with rapid ascension. Also, when you're exhausted, just about anything tastes amazing. So the food actually being good in this case was very welcome. After what was maybe the worst hour and 37 minutes of sleep of my entire life, we arose at 11 p.m. I was able to scarf down a couple slices of bread and not much else. So when we began the summit bid at midnight, I was riding off of pure stoke. Oh yeah. Due to our unrelenting pace, the entire ascent from El Castillo to Vientimilla Peak was done in darkness, with moonlight and our headlamps providing the only visuals. Despite not being technical, the ascent was still very steep, and at one point my body decided it had had enough and staged a full-on rebellion, aka I threw up. But having had a similar exorcist moment on Rainier a few months earlier and still making it to the top, I knew I wasn't out for the count, and we kept ascending. The efforts really stepped up once we reached the glacier, a constant, aggressive slope which never seemed to end. And by the time that it did finally end, it was only the false summit.
Yeah. Brutal. Woo. We're on the false side right now. Get over that way. Let's do it. Go in this lane.
The first fall summit reached was Vientimilla Peak at about 6,234 meters, or 20,450 feet high. As we crossed it, the first rays of sunshine began to peek out over the horizon, making for a poetic final stretch. That final trek, however, felt like the longest push of the whole climb, as the high altitude and exhaustion make time warp. The true summit, Whymper Peak, was about 100 feet higher. If you've seen my Matterhorn video, you might recognize that name, as it's named after the same Edward Whymper that famously first summited that peak in 1865. In 1880, he scaled this peak and several of the other Ecuadorian volcanoes for the first time, in order to test the effects of altitude on the body. I was also testing the effects on my own, and it was brutal. Even though I had been higher, I had never gone up this high, this fast.
Closest point to the sun. furthest point from the center of the earth.
The way up was almost 100% in the dark, but the descent allowed us to see in full daylight what we had just scaled. With slopes that at their steepest can range somewhere between 40 and 60 degrees, and giant crevasses that are twice as terrifying when you can see the immense scale in full. The scariest part of the climb for me happened right as day began to break. I noticed that my right lens in my sunglasses was a bit blurry, so I wiped off the lens to clear it up, but there was still no change. After a few more frustrating attempts, I realized it was actually my right eye itself that was cloudy. I was experiencing a case of high altitude retinopathy. Having never heard of the condition beforehand, I was prepared for the worst news that I may have given myself permanent eye damage, but hopefully not, and it would subside by going back down closer to sea level. But in the moment, it was terrifying. Since majority of the ascent was in darkness, it was impossible for me to notice the change gradually. By this point, we were already approaching the summit of the peak.
Down here.
As is typical on many mountains, the way down was at times more technically difficult than the way up, and good crampon technique was crucial. I'll admit, I slipped a couple times, but thankfully not in any truly dangerous spots. As we got lower and lower back to base camp, the cloudiness in my right eye slowly subsided, and my vision was fully restored by the time we made it back to the car. The experience made for one of, if not the biggest health-related scares I had had in the mountains. On a scale of difficulty, I'd put Chimborazo somewhere around a 7.5 to an 8, with maybe Denali being the hardest that I've done so far at a 10. The slopes were steep and for long stretches of time, and the quick ascent to 20,000 feet definitely takes it out of you. After summiting Chimborazo, I made it back to Quito for 2 more nights. Despite the sickness and eyesore, another summit was in the books, and another country high point unlocked. We had officially stood closest to the sun. I finished the trip in Quito celebrating the latest summit with copious amounts of carne asada and canelazo. 10 out of 10, highly recommend the Ecuador experience. Until next time, and thank you for watching.
Salud, Ecuador. It's been a time. It's been a time.